Do you think Coco Gauff can win her first Grand Slam on a clay court in the singles?
Absolutely. I think the matchup and the nature of the matchup between Sabalenka and Goff is such that neither of them play their best tennis against each other. And I think when it gets really scrappy, it is about who is the most resilient in those moments. And I think Coco Gauff is very resilient. I think she's shown that when she won the US Open. I was looking at some of the numbers previously, and that match, there were 13 winners for Coco Gauff, 27 unforced errors, and that was the US Open final. And then for Sabalenka, it was 25 and 45. So 45 unforced errors. So,
Wow.
it was not the prettiest of encounters. Not saying that it has to be, and it doesn't take anything away from the performance because it's about beating your opponent.
Mm.
But I think if we end up in a bit of a Madison Keys sort of encounter like Coco had, where the unforced errors were high, but she still found a way to win, I think it's wide open. I think it's a tough one to call, and I think it most likely it won't be a straight sets result.
Well, their last match on clay was in Madrid, where Sabalenka did come through in straight sets. But yeah, you do think back to that US Open final, and you talk about two players who, you know, particularly I think more with Coco Gauff this season, it has been messy at times. And I guess for Sabalenka, she's shown some elements of that messiness, as it were. For example, in the semi final against Swiatek. But yeah, is it
Bit more,
like
yeah, a bit more mentally messy with Sabalenka. You know what I
yes,
mean? I
yes,
feel like Coco sometimes doesn't
like
always
tennis
play.
messy? Maybe
Yeah,
because there's been a lot of talk around her kind of forehand and her serve. Didn't have the greatest sunshine swing out in the
mm.
States. Where do you think this match is going to be won and lost then between Goff and Sabalenka? Because they're head to head. I think is it four apiece at the
I
moment?
think it's five apiece.
Five
Yeah.
apiece. Sorry, it's neck and neck, five apiece. Where do you think this is going to be won and lost?
Oh, I think the serve is going to be huge. I think holding serve is going to be really, really important.
Hmm.
I think serving well. And
Who more for? Who do you think that's going to be more important for?
well, in that US Open final, Sabalenka probably would have won it if she'd served a bit better. In terms of some of the numbers, her first serve percentage was pretty low. She couldn't get a first serve in at sometimes. It was about 50%,
Hmm.
but she was winning 65% of points on that first serve. So if she has a high first serve percentage, she's very hard to take a set off. And that's been shown at this championships by the fact that was the first set that she dropped was in the semi-final against the defending champion. So I think that would be really important that as a stat. I also think for Coco, it's about taking your chances, taking those break points if you have them. And she's been really good at that, especially in that semi-final. So I think it will come down to who is able to play the more aggressive tennis and who's able to back their shots in the biggest moments. And I think something switched into gear for Sabalenka where she went through the gears in that semi-final. But Sabalenka is the best player in the world. I think undoubtedly she is, and she should have won. And probably should have won in Melbourne. She probably should have won that US Open final against Coco. And the reason why she doesn't is, as we've talked about, is that there is this mental weakness that can sometimes
Mm.
flare up in these big moments and the frustration. So it's about
Do you expect
managing
the
your.
pressure of the situation might get to her at all,
Yeah, I think
or
she
do you think
really wants it. I think she really, really wants it because
wants
she
it too much?
probably, but she also knows how good she is.
Mm.
And I think that's the thing is that we don't talk about technical flaws in Sabalenka's game anymore. Now the serve has been fixed. She is the full package. She has almost like a Serena level of game,
Mm.
but she's not winning all of those big titles. She's winning a lot of titles outside of the slams. I mean, she's got less slams than Iga Swiatek, who's younger than her as well. So I think I want to see them both play their best tennis. And if they are playing their best tennis, then Sabalenka will win this match, probably in a similar scoreline to the Madrid of 6-3, 7-6. But if not, I think if it goes three, I'm backing Coco Gauff.
Interesting. Well, it's quite nice because it is a matchup between the top two seeds, the world number one and number two, and that's the first time it's happened since 2018 Australian Open. Wozniacki defeating Simona Halep. So
Goodness. I wouldn't have guessed that they were
there you
one and
go.
two at the time, would you?
No, I know. Yeah, very surprising. But yeah, I mean, I would just add to that as well. I think what was quite intriguing, particularly in that semi-final, was kind of the rally length. And when Sabalenka was able to keep the points short, she was able to kind of assert herself. And we know how good Coco Gauff is defensively. So I do think also, just to add another element in there, is if Coco Gauff can keep that kind of one extra ball in, keep extended rallies going for as long as possible, I think that will also favour Gauff. And we saw that. And I think that was one of the reasons, Swiatek came back into that semi-final, was that, she was able to kind of draw out the rallies a bit more in that second set. Granted, Sabalenka's, level did drop a little bit, but I do wonder as well if, if Gauff can just stay in the point that bit longer, maybe that'll help her too.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think probably it was really good, the match against Keys, in terms of preparation for playing Sabalenka. Big hitters, and a match where Coco, as I've said, didn't play her best tennis, still came through with the result. So I think she's not going to be nervous this time. I think she was very nervous and intimidated for her first Grand Slam final in Paris a number of years ago. I think it was 2022. But she's a great mover. She's really comfortable on the surface, and it is the two top performing players of the clay season. So this is the blockbuster final that we're looking forward to. And I think it's great for women's tennis that at the end of what's not necessarily been the best platform for tennis, courtesy of, well, it's up for debate, isn't it? Whether it's Prime or the French Tennis Federation and the scheduling. I think it's great that this is the final that will bring numbers and will also be a blockbuster.
It's just funny how every Grand Slam I feel has scheduling issues, but they're all for kind of different. They're just like all for different reasons. It's
hard
I
to
feel
get right. Clearly, I mean,
it is hard to get right. I feel like the most superficial or sort of funniest issue is like with Wimbledon. We just have to get it finished by 11 p.m. an 11 p.m. curfew.
It's quite uncontroversial in comparison. I'm quite jealous of the Wimbledon schedulers of the fact that they just say get off court and come back tomorrow.
Exactly.
None of the drama.
None of the drama, and like with Australian Open, US Open, going late is always an issue there. So it's just fascinating. But hopefully the the matchup between Sabalenka and Gauff can just sort of forget about everything and just let us focus on the tennis. Let's end the episode, Chris, with some predictions.
Right.
I am going to ask you for the name of the victor, as well as the number of sets, how you think it's going to finish. Is Coco Gauff going to win her first Roland-Garros title, or is Aryna Sabalenka going to win her first Roland-Garros title as the world number one? Where are you going?
Oh, this is tough. I think I was thinking this would be the season that Sabalenka would pick up the French Open and Wimbledon. And I think I'm going to opt for, if she's playing her best tennis, she's winning the match, and she's winning it in straight sets.
Sabalenka in 2.
But I do still back, if it goes 3, I think Coco's winning. But I have to say 1, and I'm going to say Sabalenka in 2.
I'm going to go...
See, you've asked me, but you're not prepared. I think this was my final, by the way.
I'm
going to
predictions,
Joel.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go Gauff in 3. I'm going to go Gauff in 3. It's
going to get to Sabalenka, do you think?
I think Gauff is going to be more composed in the final.
Everything to gain, nothing to lose.
Yeah. I'm gonna back but she does go in as the underdog, but they're both very experienced. Even Coco Gauff, and how young she is still relatively. It's incredible, what both competitors are doing. So yeah, it's going to be a really intriguing matchup. We're both really excited for it. I'm sure Kim is excited as well.